Then I'm going to be finding 4 sections on top. From the center parting at the main balance point, and how I find where those sections stop is where the comb leaves the head. So I'll place my comb against somebody, which on this side would be a parietal ridge. I'm just going to turn you around and show this side of the buildings as well. I'm going to place my comb against somebody here, which is where my top section is going to be. My fringe section is going to be found from where the comb leaves the head here. My main balance point, as we all know, is going to be at the top of the head. Those sections go behind the ear. My back sections, or my oblong section, is going to be placed when I place the comb against the back of them. Where the protrusion leaves is where your occipital bone is. Everything's going to turn you around and show this side. So where my comb leaves the head is where the occipital bone is, and that's my back sections. So 1 frame section, 4 sections on top that are near, and then a perimeter section is what we're going to be doing. With my layering technique, with my kind of block with blown out haircuts, I'm going to be sectioning this to actually show how I'm going to create the layers for this haircut. And we're going to be cutting a little bit more of a curtain that's too. Because we have this blown out and we're doing a little bit of dry cutting / styling, my sections are going to be perfect, but they'll be difficult for you to see. So these are the sections that we're doing. And as I continue to cut this haircut, I will give an explanation once we're finished doing this, as I allow Jenna right now to talk about our color inspiration.
All right, guys, who's ready to learn some color? All right, so let's talk about my inspiration a little bit first. So, I don't know if you guys have a similar kind of experience, but when I go into a bookstore, I just want to buy all of the books and then read none of them. Do you guys do the same thing? I'm like the absolute worst for it. I don't know, it's just like my vibe in there. But then yeah, I don't read them ever. So what I've recently realized this year is that I feel the same way about fabric stores. So I'm currently, I do a lot of photo shoot work for contestants and stuff like that. And I realized this year that when I go into Fabricland, I just want to like look and buy all of the fabrics, but then I don't know how to sew, so I just like pass it off to the next person to sew it for me, right? But when I'm in that fabric store, I am like loving everything I'm seeing, I'm feeling it, I'm touching it, I'm just like living in it. And I really was inspired this year by this one specific satin, I don't even know what it is, that's how little I know about fabric, but it was this picture that really started off my entire collection. The rest is all makeup inspo, which is also just like that same like texture, smooth kind of feel. So that's really what ignited my metallic copper collection this year. So, next slide. So my placement. So I'm gonna first talk about my sections. So this specific technique I actually taught to a lot of my apprentices throughout the year. I call it, throughout the years, I call it my 12 foil placement. So this is something that is like super simple, but very simplistic when it comes to really just understanding the head shape and who you're using it on. So once it comes to the 12 foiled base placement, you're really just going to be tweaking it based off the density of the hair and the texture of the hair and the cut. So it's all super, super easy. So I've sectioned out my mannequin head here. So the blue lines on my diagram here are the sections. And I believe you guys may be getting a copy of this. I can't, maybe. But anyway, so this is my mannequin head. So this bottom section here is going to be just above the ear in a horizontal parting. My next section I always do is the fringe. So you're always going to want to do your triangle. This also will be based off what your fringe section, how big the client's head is, how thick of a section you want. Then you're going to be doing your side ones. So this is just going to make it easier for your top section. So you're going to take your comb and go on a diagonal. You're going to put a comb. Do you guys all know how to find the crown? So you lay a comb flat on the top, and that's where your crown is. So take that point and then draw it to the horizontal line by the top of the ear. So that's going to be what creates the center, and then the rest will be your top. Cool? All right, so So Inawa is L'Oreal's no ammonia oil delivery permanent color system. Does everybody in here use Inawa? The majority of us? Yeah?
It's
Cool.
amazing.
What about Dia Color? Have we all branched out to the color, Dia Color world? Yeah? So Dia Color is the newest demi-permanent line, which is what I used on all of my models today. Dia Color gives such an intense, beautiful shine to the hair. You guys will see it in all of my mannequins and models. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. So I'm going to show this side of the room, my foil placement first on my model, and then I'm going to come to you guys, so I don't want you guys to feel left out over there. But because it is such a simple, quick technique, it's going to be fun. All right, so we're going to go right above the ear. I'm just going to grab this. And then you guys will really be able to see my color placement.
Cool. Wait, so.
How beautiful is that color?
Yeah, I'm just going to kind of hold it up here. Alright, I'm just going to spin here. Be careful. Alright, can you guys all see just kind of around the hairline? So our first section will always be hugging the hairline on a diagonal forward. This is going to be this hair that falls right in the front, especially for our long folks, right? So this hair is very important to make sure it has that pop of color. Then our next section, so I'm just going to show you guys half of it because the other half of the head is the same. So then we're going to take our next section, which is going to be from the top of the ear to the top of the ear, and that's going to be our next foil. So a lot of the times what I'll do is I'll take that section, weave it, and then back comb. So it just gives that nice beautiful blend. So it really just connects the bottom hairline foils to the center bottom hair. Then when we are working up into the crown area, we're going to take two more foils, working almost like a rooftop. So instead of our normal, which would be a diagonal, we're going to go a diagonal back. So this is going to make the hair, when it's just flowing naturally, we're going to have it so it's just kind of peeking out from underneath. So if I lift this top hair, you guys can see that there. So just kind of lightly peeks through. So my model, you can see, has a ton of hair. So when she came into the model call, I actually asked Justin to texturize her first.
Not yet, take a lot of hair out. Oh, no.
So he texturized her, and then I was like, are you going to take out more? Because I honestly didn't even think he had already did it.
Piles.
So the thicker the hair, the more foils you can add, obviously. And the more pops of color you want, that's going to determine how many more foils you're putting. And then we're going to go to the front hairline section. So right around the top of the ear, we're going to add one foil just right around the hairline. I usually do them a little bit finer, a little bit more of the baby-like. And then we're going to do our next, which is just above temple area. So this hair is going to be the hair just falling down on top of the hairline. Then when we're coming to the fringe, I'm just going to show you here. Are your guys' clients still getting like the thicker money piece? We're still doing it? Yeah? Alright. I'm not sure, Alberta might be a little bit different. So what I did on my model here was I did a smaller weave section through here, just because I like it to be noticeable, but not too chunky. So you'll notice on our other model, we did do it a little bit more bold, because that was the inspo that we were going for. But a lot of medicine hatters like to do it a little bit more natural. They like to be able to get a year out of their color placement. So I'm finding that if it's a weave, it does grow out a lot more blended. So I'll always hug the hairline again in the fringe section, finishing off the technique with two diagonal forward foils in between that top section there. Does everyone on the same page? Yeah? Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna spin her around. Actually, I might give you a stand, actually. Yeah, okay. Alright. Oh yeah, now I can see. So can you guys see when I go to move her hair, how much dimension that has? So on this specific model, we use 19 foils for her entire head. Only 19 foils. So that just goes to show the simplicity of the placement and really understanding the head shape and where the hair's falling. With her color, we did the base with the Inawan, 7.44 equal parts, 6.45 and 10 volume. In the foils, we use the Blonde Studio 9 Bonder Inside. I am a massive, massive fan of the Bonder Inside with 20 volume. She processed for 45 minutes, and then we glossed her foils with 744 and 982, equal parts with 9 volume in the Dia color. What do you guys think?
It is such a beautiful program. It is unbelievable.
We're just gonna roll over here. Maybe Justin can start talking. Did you guys all go over what I said, right? I'm not a quiet person. So I'm just gonna kind of like walk through the placement, and you guys can actually see the foils. And Justin can take it away.
Beautiful. So with my haircut, in my top 4 sections, I've created a concave layer. For me, when I cut hair, it's all about body and movements, and working with the natural hair texture. I really want to support the geometry within the hair that can create an easy style for our clients. So what we could, or me, to be honest with you, because I blow dry hair quite a bit, and is that the geometry of the haircut isn't there for me, I find it very, very difficult, and it's going to fall. So in my quadrant sections, I've created what's called a concave layer. So I've held the hair straight up, and I've cut it as vertically as I can with the length that allows me to do that. I'm going to show you guys that because I have cut it. So from my part line, and I was doing a slide cutting technique because I much prefer a slide cut on dry hair and a bit more precision on wet hair that's happening. So if I was on wet hair, I would be above my fingers, but on dry hair, I'm going to be below my fingers. And so I've taken my first quadrant at a vertical section, and I've gone below my fingers all the way up to the top that's here. What that's going to allow me to do is create volume from the part line. One of the hardest things that we can do within hairdressing is as we get into lengths like this, is have a very square top to the haircuts. It's kind of what they first teach us in hair school with doll heads. But what happens when there's a squareness to the top of it is the top hair falls extremely heavy and steppy. And on certain hair textures, you can really see that within the front of the haircut. That's it. So we really want to make sure that we're accessing it. Now, if I want to see more of a layer to this haircut, I'm going to initially do my convex layer, and I'm going to drop it down just a little bit further. That comes into play. Now, on my front section or frame section, and I've mirrored that all the way around. On my front section my frame section, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a long layer / curtain type of technique for you guys. That's here. Hopefully we can see all the way around. I'm going to show it. Curtain fringes, and like I said, movement against the face are so predominant that's here. And there's a lot of ways to cut it, but I'm very passionate on cutting it independently from the rest of the haircuts. The reason being, when we do that, if we layer the front vertically, it's kind of unknown what it's going to fall like against the face, possibly the recession or different hair textures that are going to occur. So one of my favorite ways to do this, and again, my fringe section, my front triangle, is from outside of an eye to outside of an eye, and it's where my comb leaves the head. All of that area is going to allow that hair to disperse forward. I just want to show you guys this direction, that section before we take it. That is outside of an eye, and from where the comb leaves the head. This is the natural hair that's going to fall. And that's unique to every person, unique to every hair texture, but it will make it a lot easier. So then what I do is within this triangle, I'm going to find my center part, and I'm just going to divide each side into two. I'm just going to spin away. I'm going to take a center guideline, and I'm going to show you guys on either side before I cut this. And I'm going to find my desired length. Because finishing hair is such a passion of mine, I'm always trying to accent some form of the face shape. Maybe it's a nose, maybe it's a cheekbone, maybe it's the curvature of an eye, depending on the length of the fringe that you're working with. In this case, because I know our hair is going to spring a little bit with the blow dry, I'm going to be cutting it just past the nose, which allows me for a little bit of length to travel and to create an opening, and still have some hair to be able to wrap in a brush. So I'm going to show you guys on this side of it. Where I divide it into two, and I'm just going to be taking my first bite here. When I'm taking a guideline, I love twisting it, because it's going to diffuse the shape when that occurs, so it's not going to be heavy. I'm going to be doing a slide cutting technique. If I wanted to be more precision, i.e. like let's say the fringe was shorter, I would be holding it in my fingers and possibly point cutting this here. I find one of the most difficult things when you first start cutting fringes, especially at curvature, is where you end to. So I wanted to take a guideline of where I want that to be from my side. And I'm going to go to the chin, another beautiful area. Another beautiful area right here. Slide you guys around. I love how this is a 360 view, it's amazing. Looking like a hockey arena or something. Sorry, yeah, totally. So now I have a start point and I have an end point. So I'm going to be putting both guidelines with me. As I cut my left side, I'll turn and show you guys that direction. And I'm going to wait till my top guideline falls out of my hand and be lightly point cutting or slide cutting until I achieve my bottom guideline. I really love simple techniques that have optimum results, and I find that this is one of them. Guideline to the chin, should be right here. And I'm going to be holding all the sections together, slide cutting from my guidelines to my guideline, behind my hand. But by all means, if I wanted to be a bit more precision with this, you can cut it in front of your hand or with traditional technique. My behind section I'm going to now take out. I'm going to elevate, and I'm going to slide cut it over directly backwards. The reason that I'm doing that, that's here, is so I can create movements. Beautiful. Sorry. Now what we want to do is I'm going to show you guys my new best friend. We've all been wanting to use it. We've all been wanting to play with it. The Airlight Pro is my favorite blow dryer, and it's not just because I work with L'Oreal Professional. I think this is one of the most, it's true, this is one of the most, yes, this is one of the most efficient blow dryers that I've ever worked with. Because I finish by nature, I have to hold large sections to do my round brushing or do my roller set. And the efficiency of the infrared to keep that section up is one of the best that I've ever worked with. Also, it's more of a efficient blow dryer. It's more sustainable for all of us.
佢個頭咁乸大喎，你可以揸住個頭，咪就似戴森咯佢，佢係單板戴森嗰個。戴森前落邊，佢好大嚿喎，佢呢個似 Amazon 嚟嘅喎。買佢我哋要買翻錢。我 應該5嚿，300幾，
Amazing.
頭先嗰個講。
It's a beautiful room. Also, the court is like 10 feet long, which is like the greatest thing you've ever seen before.
但係條線長啊，真係好緊要嘅。夠長係啦，好爭真係每一條線。
It was very, very similar to technique. My bottom sections were my fringe, or I'm sorry, were my perimeter. So my bottom sections of the haircut, I cut freehand around, and then I did a slide cutting technique. As we were talking about Jen and I, about how much hair I was removing, I love channeling instead of making thin hair. So as I was cutting her hair on the bottom, I was really making sure that I was slide cutting my scissors and not using texturizing shears, because I don't want the hair to be too thin. So as I was cutting the bottom, using texturizing shears and not using to be too thin, I created a convex layer on top by holding this straight up to the top, slide cutting this area, and then because the density of her hair, I continue to internally slide cut this area by having that same angle and sliding the hair through the section. Again, so I can create a chunky texture and not a thin texture, which will really, really help me blow dry. And on my hot start done. Good one. Oh, nice. That's okay. Beautiful. Go ahead, Jen.
So, what do you guys think of our beautiful creamy taupe? Alright, so my inspiration on this girl is interior design. I'm obsessed with houses, the interiors, the bougie, creamy vibe. Yeah, that's my inspo for this girl. So for her color, we did the Inoa 8.21 equal parts to 7.11. We used 10 volume. I did do a strand test with 20, but her hair ended up lifted very, very warm. I think just because of her genetics. It was pulling a lot of red. So we stuck with 10 volume just to neutralize as much as possible. Then I went in with, in our foils, I did a different technique, also very simple though. So in her foils, I also used the Bond Studio 9 Bonder inside with 20 volume. Like I said, it's my favorite, it's my go-to, it's on almost every single one of my clients. And then I glossed her with the Dia Color 9.82, equal parts clear with 9 volume. So with her technique, I'm going to just quickly touch on it. I'm actually going to get you to stand and we're going to come to the middle of the stage so everybody can see. So like our other 12 placement balayage, this is also a very simple technique. So this girl has 3 sections. So top, fringe, and bottom section. Just 1 inch above the ear is where you start the section, going all the way around. So with the foils, I always start around the hairline. So we have 2 hairline foils on the bottom. Just giving them pops of color around to the front side, depending on the length of your model or your client. Then in the top front, we're going to do the same hairline around the face to give that extra brightness around the face. And then the top section is where I do this a little bit differently. So our section comes down quite far just past the crown. And this is going to be very dependent on how thick their hair is. But basically we're doing this just to blend this hair here. To me, this hair sometimes is just like so much hair. And people just get lost in foiling. Cut it out. Just eliminate it completely, leave it a base color, and then just foil where the point comes to. So there's much less work, right? So I started her foils just below her crown. I did a thicker weave section, leaving about 3/4 of an inch in between each foil. So on this model, we had had maybe 15 foils max. So once again, a very quick and easy, simple application to get like a nice punch of color. What do you guys think?
Beautiful, isn't it? Our last model, through the explanation of the haircut, was very similar to everything that I've done, except for her perimeter section was around graduation. So I have taken a guideline from the front, a guideline from the back, so I can create an angle coming this direction. So I can push the weight back of her haircut that's there. I've created a vertical section on top for my 4 sections, the same haircut. And I just created a point cutting technique initially that was fair. And then connecting it to the sides so I can have a little bit of a concave and a point cut triangle fringe. I love bones. It's their big My absolutely favorite product in the world is Absolute Repair Molecular. I cannot keep this in my salon. The amounts that we're selling and moving through, I think L'Oreal can keep up with the industry right now. This is a bond restructurer and a bond strengthener. So the lateral bonds in the hair, we know that can break down from lifestyle, from coloring, from letting our hair naturally dry. And as I finished with Lauren's hair, there's about 6 pumps of Absolute Repair Molecular that I let naturally dry. So I do have a little bit of hold and texture that will come from allowing it to naturally dry, but it allows me to leave an organic movement to the hair without the hair looking too crispy. Now, for the purposes of the stage, I've incorporated a little bit of the metal detox serum just to have a little bit of a different light reflection between it. Like, definitely try this product. My clients live on it, and they absolutely love it. That's what I would say.
So do you guys think it's true you look like your clients or your clients look like you? I wonder if everybody who sits in Justin's chair has ever been mullet.
I love cutting hair. Yeah, I love cutting hair, which is an amazing thing. So, the last thing that we want to accomplish, because this is a hair show, thank you guys for being patient.
Sorry. So I also wanted to just touch on our color placement on Lauren here. We actually did a very similar technique to the other ones. We just cut out the entire top section and toned it. So we ended up doing just a few foils around her hairline in our diagram. So all it was 6 foils, and you can see just a little bit of the dimension just kind of poking out around the hairline there. So super, super simple, but sometimes I think it's easy to kind of overlook understanding placement, especially in shorter hair. So I used Dia Color 9.82 with 9 volume in the foils, and then we glossed her base with 982 and clear equal parts 9 volume.
Amazing. I love the color placement in the front because it looks like a ruby blonde without being ruby. It's something that I'm really attracted to.
Just adds a little bit of something.
Amazing. So, we absolutely love the colors and cuts that we've done with L'Oreal Professional today. We